Welcome to Learning Life Content. Please like, share, comment and subscribe. Your support helps us grow and motivates us to bring you more fascinating and enriching stories. You think you know me, the master of the Renaissance, the man who painted God and sculpted David. But what if I told you the artist you revere, the one whose works fill museums and cathedrals, started his career as a common criminal? Did you know the sculptor of David began as a teenage forger? The history books give you the polished version, the genius, the divine artist. But my life was far messier, more dangerous, and frankly, more interesting than they let on. My secrets are wild. Stick around, and I'll tell you the stories they never taught you in school. Let's begin. 45, the teenage forger, Florence, late 15th century. The air is thick with the scent of cut stone and ambition. The city is obsessed with one thing, rediscovering the glory of ancient Rome. Antiquities are the ultimate status symbol, and I, a brash teenager with more talent than sense, wanted in. So at just 16 years old, I carved a sleeping Cupid. But I didn't just carve it in the classical style. I decided to make it an antique. I took a page from the trickster's handbook and artificially aged it with acidic earth. I buried it, then dug it up, rubbing it with dirt to fake the passage of centuries. It was a perfect counterfeit, good enough to fool the experts. An art dealer sold it to none other than Cardinal Raffaele Riario, a powerful and wealthy collector in Rome. The cardinal bought it, believing he'd acquired a priceless Roman artifact. But the truth, as it often does, came out. He discovered the con. He was furious, naturally, and demanded his money back from the dealer. But then something remarkable happened. Instead of having me thrown in a dungeon, the cardinal was impressed. He realized that a boy who could so perfectly replicate the work of the ancients must possess a talent bordering on the divine. He summoned me to Rome. The forgery that should have ended my career instead launched it. He figured out the con and hired me anyway. That single act of deception brought me to the heart of the art world. But my relationship with the church's most powerful men wouldn't always be so forgiving. Then it got darker, much darker. 0230, the hidden room. Years later, I was a celebrated artist, but my temper and my politics put me on a collision course with another powerful churchman, Pope Clement VII. During the 1527 sack of Rome, I sided with my beloved Florentine Republic against the Medici family, the Pope's own kin. When the Medici returned to power, I was a marked man. Pope Clement VII had me marked for death for treason and for abandoning his commission at the Medici Chapel. To save my own skin, I vanished. For 3 months in 1530, I hid in a place no one would ever think to look. A cramped, secret room, just 10 feet by 30, beneath the very Medici Chapel I was supposed to be working on in Florence. Down there, in the cold and the dark, with the Pope's soldiers searching for me above, I had nothing but charcoal and bare walls. So I did the only thing I knew how to do. I drew. Scribbling by the flicker of a single candle, I filled the walls with my ghosts. Designs for old projects, plans for new ones, figures from the Sistine Chapel, even a sketch of Christ resurrected. It was a prison, a sanctuary, and a secret sketchbook, all in one. Eventually the Pope offered a pardon, realizing my artistic genius was more valuable than his revenge. I emerged, blinking, into the light. For centuries, my secret hiding place was forgotten, a mere footnote in my biography. But those walls, they were rediscovered by accident in 1975. A museum director stumbled upon a trapdoor, and there they were, preserved in the dark. my desperate, brilliant sketches, a testament to a time when my art was the only thing that kept me alive. 0415, the signature. My pride has always been both my greatest strength and my most profound weakness. Of all the works that flowed from my hands, the sculptures, the paintings, the buildings, I only ever signed one. My first great masterpiece in Rome, the Pietà. I was only 24 when I finished it. I overheard a group of pilgrims from Lombardy praising its beauty, its divine sorrow. But then I heard them attribute it to another sculptor, one of my rivals. They praised the work without saying my name. The injustice burned in me like a fever. That very night, in a fit of furious pride, I snuck back into the basilica. With a lamp, a chisel, and a mallet, I carved my claim directly into the stone for all eternity. Across the sash on Mary's breast, I chiseled Michael, Angelus, Buonarrotis, Florentine, Fassida. Michelangelo Buonarroti of Florence made this. The moment the sun rose, I was flooded with instant regret. What had I done? I had branded the Virgin Mary, the Mother of God, with my own earthly vanity. It was an act of supreme arrogance. I was so ashamed of this outburst that I vowed to never sign another piece of work again. And I kept that promise. My hand would be my signature. The work itself would have to speak my name. 0545, the David trick. Speaking of work that speaks for itself, David. Carving that giant was a monumental task. The block of marble itself was a challenge. It was tall, thin, and had already been worked on and abandoned by two other sculptors. They called it the Giant. Everyone thought it was ruined. But I saw the figure trapped inside. To release it, I had a trick. I didn't just attack the stone. First, I made a small, perfect wax model of the final figure I envisioned. This was my three-dimensional blueprint. Then I placed this wax model into a basin of water. I dunked it completely, letting the water settle. This simple bath was the key to my entire process. Each day, I would slowly lower the water level just a fraction of an inch. As the water receded, the highest points of the wax figure, the nose, the brow, the knuckles, would emerge first. I carved only what I could see breaking the surface of the water. This methodical process allowed me to translate the three-dimensional form from my mind to the stone with unparalleled precision. It was as if I was freeing a body already trapped within the marble, layer by layer, just as it was being born from the water. Critics? I had receipts. My method was my proof. But some critics are beyond reason. 0710, the Nude Avenger. Which brings me to the Sistine Chapel and my ultimate revenge. After decades of work, I was called back to paint the Last Judgment on the altar wall. When I finally unveiled it, the reaction was explosive. One man in particular, the papal master of ceremonies, Biagio da Cesena, was horrified. He declared my masterpiece was disgraceful, calling the glorious nudes bathhouse art, fit for a tavern, not the holy chapel. He complained to the Pope, demanding I cover them up. I was furious. How dare this bureaucrat criticize my vision? So, in the Last Judgment, I painted him into the scene. I gave him the face of Minos, the judge of the underworld. I painted him naked, with donkey ears, to signify his foolishness. And a serpent coiled around him, biting him where it hurts most, condemned to hell for all eternity. When Biagio saw it, he begged the Pope to have it removed. The Pope, with a legendary wit, supposedly replied, "My jurisdiction does not extend to hell." The portrait remains to this day, an eternal clapback painted right into the wall of the Vatican. 0840, the secret dissector. That anatomical perfection in my work wasn't just talent. It was knowledge, acquired through forbidden means. To truly understand the human form, to draw and sculpt real muscles, tendons and bone, I had to see them for myself. I begged the prior of the Santo Spirito Church for access to the hospital's cadavers. It was a dangerous, illegal act, condemned by the church. But the prior agreed in exchange for a wooden crucifix I carved for him. So I dissected bodies in secret at night, by the dim, nauseating light of a candle. It was gruesome, stomach-turning work that haunted my health for years. Morbid? Absolutely. But it was necessary. That's why the anatomy in my sculptures sings with life. Every vein on David's hand, every muscle in Christ's torso, it's not imagined. It's real, learned in the shadows of a Florentine morgue. 0955, the sketch burner. I was obsessed with perfection. The final product was all that mattered. The struggle, the mistakes, the process, that was for my eyes only. In the final days of my life, I torched thousands of my sketches, drawings and cartoons. I was terrified of being remembered for my rough drafts, of anyone seeing the effort behind the divine genius. I wanted my work to appear effortless, born fully formed from my mind. The few that survived the flames were the ones I couldn't bear to destroy. They were gifts, tokens of my affection for the people I loved, like the beautiful and noble Tommaso de Cavalieri. 1040, the poet. Oh, and did I mention I was a poet? I wrote more than 300 sonnets and madrigals in my lifetime. It was another way to carve, not stone, but words. Many of my most passionate poems were written to Tommaso. They are intense, soul-on-fire stuff, speaking of a love that has no wings for flight. My own grandnephew later published them, but changed all the pronouns from he to she to hide their true nature. Scholars still debate our relationship to this day. Was he a devoted muse, a spiritual friend, or something deeper? I'll let the poems speak for themselves. 1135, the survivor. Perhaps the wildest fact of all is that I survived. I lived to be nearly 89 years old in a world where the average man was lucky to see 35. I outlasted my rivals. Raphael, Bramante, all gone. I outlasted the popes who commissioned and tormented me. I worked for 9 of them. I even outlasted all 4 of my own brothers. I was a lonely, difficult and obsessive man, but I endured. At 70, when most men were long in their graves, I took on my greatest architectural challenge, shaping the dome of St. Peter's Basilica. I worked until the very end, chisel in hand, still fighting with the stone. So, that is my story. Michelangelo, the forger, the fugitive, the avenger, the poet, the survivor, a man of faith and fury, of sublime art and dirty secrets. The history books can keep their sanitized genius. I prefer the truth. Now I ask you, which of my secrets shocked you the most? Drop it in the comments below. And if you want more of the real stories behind the world's greatest art, subscribe. There are always more secrets buried in the stone. Michelangelo Facts. Thank you for watching Learning Life content. Please like, share, comment and subscribe. Your support helps us grow and motivates us to bring you more fascinating and enriching stories.